the 2025 Honda Pilot in two trims. To my right, I have the Sport trim, and to my left, I have the EXL, both in a two-wheel drive and both 8-seaters, and we're gonna be bringing you guys the differences and overall similarities on both these trims in this video. But before we start, thank you for watching Vagabond Builds with James and Sandu. Please tap that like button, subscribe to our channel, and also here's our email. Email us if you got something for us to film. Thanks, guys. Also, thank you to Folsom Lake Honda for providing us these beautiful Honda Pilots for this review, and keep watching and stay tuned because we're also talking price tags. What is the difference in price tags and what it's going to get you here at Vagabond Builds with James and Sandu? Let's go ahead and start talking about 2025 Honda Pilots. So let's dive in and talk first the similarities between the powertrains. Now, I did mention these are front wheel drive, so MPG is going to be the same, and the engine is exactly the same with the 3.5 liter V6 engine paired together with a 10-speed automatic transmission. Loving the fact that the Honda Pilot is still naturally aspirated. Wanted to point that out to you guys if you guys are in the market for some SUVs. Pushing 285 horsepower with 262 pounds-feet of torque. A little bit about the MPG, everybody. MPG's 27 highway, 19 city, and a 22 combined with a 4.5 gallon consumption to every 100 miles, 18.5 gallon gas tank size. Length, width, and height in inches. Starting with length is 200 inches in length, 79 inches in width, 72 inches in height, 113-inch wheelbase, 7.3 inch ground clearance with 3,500 pounds of towing capacity because it's the two-wheel drive. Let's go ahead and drop this hood and talk. What are the differences between the Sport trim over to the EXL? Now, the Sport being the lower trim, the EXL being the trim right on top or higher by one. What do we see that's completely different in the front? Starting with the lower trim, we're going to have more of a blacked out element look on the Sport trim with regards to this black gloss trim going across the front. And then also, you're going to see it right here on the active air vent area as well. But other than that, there's nothing different on the front. They both have bumper sensors. They both have the matte black plastic. Yes, you have a little silver lip on the EXL trim, adding a little bit of aesthetic or richer feel to that. This just being black, giving it more of a sportier, aggressive look, I believe. But other than that, headlight system, LEDs in the front, bumper sensors, LED fog lights, all exactly the same. Now let's move over to the side. Now, what do we get different on the side? Rims and tires are going to be completely different. On the Sport, you're running Michelin Primacy all seasons, and it's a 255/50/20, to where here on the EXL Touring, it's a little bit more kind of smoother tire. It's a Goodyear Eagle Touring, and that is coming in at a 255/60/18. Different look on the rim, and then also here as well. This is a dual color with a machine surface silver, black gloss. This is just a gunmetal gray glossy look. Those are going to be completely different with regards to any trim that you have, okay? Now, suspension systems are similar, regular standard suspension system. Another difference here on the side is going to be these side mirrors, right? Completely matte black plastic look, to where you do not have an integrated blinker lighting on the Sport, to where here on the EXL, you're getting that integrated lighting. Okay, that's going to be completely different. And then moving over to the rocker panel area, just as you saw on the front on the EXL, you get just a little bit of extra paint with that gray compared to the all black rocker panel trim area, okay? Now moving over to the rear, if you guys can see, up top, we got the, on the Sport, you have the roof rails, and then on the EXL, you don't have the roof rails, okay? Also, no sunroof or panoramic glass on both. So Sport or EXL doesn't get that sunroof, all right? Coming over to the rear end, what do we see different? On the Sport, you get the dual tip exhaust on the right and on the left. You don't get bumper sensors back here, so no bumper sensors. But if I shoot over to the EXL, we get the bumper sensors, but we put away the dual tip exhaust, and the exhausts are tucked under the car, okay? Just there, all right? But overall, exactly the same with regards to spoilers, with regards to the camera system with the washer nozzle here in the back, Pilot going across, and again, the EXL has a little bit more gray than the Sport, okay? Let's go ahead and lift up both cargos. This is an electric tailgate, to where the Sport is going to be a manual tailgate, and you have to lift that up. And what you're not getting in the Sport here on the cargo area, you're getting no 12-volt outlet there on the left, to where on the EXL, you're adding a 12-volt outlet back here, trunk space, okay? Now, for the people who'd like to know, if you want a more in-depth review video, check out our other videos with regards to Honda Pilot. But some cargo numbers, 22 cubic feet of space with that third row seat up. Drop that third row seat down, 60 cubic feet of space behind that second row, and then 112 cubic feet of space if you drop the third and that second row, okay? Way to drop these down, you pull this, completely drops down just like that, straight to the point, and that's what the 60 cubic feet of space looks like. If I go ahead and drop those other ones down, it's 112. All right, guys, now that we're done showing you guys pretty much the main differences and similarities with regards to the outside of the car, specs, and cargo, let's go ahead and show you guys the interiors. All right, so now sitting in the lower trim, the Sport model, and we're going to be talking interior. So right off the bat, guys, I'm not going to waste your guys' time. We're diving into the differences. Let's go ahead and head over to the door panel on the driver's side. Memory seating, you do not get memory seating in the Sport model, to where on the EXL you do get. You're going to have an addition to the traction control off button. You're going to have an addition tailgate lift button being electrical, in the EXL. Sport is manual. Coming over to the Sport steering wheel, you're going to have this button here. It says source, and that is to control the cluster, to whereas you do not get the source button on the EXL. Partial digital cockpit cluster screen. Let me go ahead and see if you guys can see that. Left is digital. On the right, you still got that manual miles per hour gauge. Then we come over to the side mirror. You have auto dimmable rear view mirror, auto dimmable, and then you actually also have the home link system in the EXL, to where the Sport does not have auto dimmable and it does not have the home link system. Dropping down to a smaller infotainment screen, okay? You get two knobs instead of one, and then you get a row of hard buttons here, to whereas on the EXL you have the upgraded touch sensitive screen. This is touch sensitive as well, but this row turns into touch sensitive instead of hard buttons, and there's one less knob with placements, okay? You also do not get Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and Sirius XM in the Sport, to where you get all those three in the EXL. Dropping down, dual climate control compared to the tri-zone climate control. Sport only has dual climate control. You can turn off the rear, but you can't control the temperature or lock the temperature back there, and you will see a difference in this third button here on the right. Wireless charging pad. No wireless charging pad in the Sport. You get a wireless charging pad in the EXL. And then the seating system, the wrap is cloth. It's a very high, dense, or thick cloth compared to the leather on the EXL, okay? Now, guys, we're going to show you guys real quick the second and third row seating, the differences or similarities. But then we're going to go ahead and jump inside the EXL and talk price and what you're getting on top of that. All right, so second row, what are the differences? Now, starting with the door panel, no sun visor in the Sport that you can pull up and attach. There's no sun visor. No extra tweeter here on the door panel. And then, as I mentioned in the front, no tri-zone climate control, and that's where you're gonna see it right here. And then, of course, the cloth seating, as I mentioned in the front, you'll see the cloth seating here on the Sport, to where you don't have it on the EXL. Now, I'm about 6 feet 2 inches. Space test completely there. Head clearance is clear. Legs is completely clear. Now, the way to control these seats, few ways. The lever up in the front. You have a bunny hop button here, and then a lever here to drop that backrest. We're gonna go ahead and bunny hop this seat. Now, I'm not gonna enter the third row seating, but I want to just show you guys. We're gonna drop this, and this is what the armrest looks like and the cup holders. But when you come over to the third row seating, you still get the cloth, but you lose the USB-C plugins that you're gonna have on those little squares right there, okay? So no USB-C plugins, less tech inside the Sport overall. Now let's go ahead, finish up, and jump inside the EXL, talk price, and show you guys the differences. All right, guys, so this is what you're getting extra, okay? Now let's go ahead and talk price. So the Sport is coming in at $41,750, to where the EXL is coming in at $47,150. So we're talking about around a $6,000 difference in price tags. Now, I showed you guys what the Sport doesn't get at $41,750. Let me show you what the EXL does get on top of that lower trim. Now, starting with the door panel, as I mentioned, the memory seating, you get that 2-step memory seating. You also have the traction control button. Coming over to the tri-spoke steering wheel, no source button, because the source is integrated into that bigger infotainment screen. Moving over to the rear view mirror, difference is auto dimmable, and you have the HomeLink system, and you're going to see that with the buttons right under that rear view mirror. The infotainment screen is the bigger screen with all touch sensitive display buttons. As I showed you guys, the Sport has the hard buttons down here to where this touch is touch sensitive. You get the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and you also have the Series XM. And you have one less knob. Remember, you had one knob on the right, one knob on the left, but we have hard buttons home and back here on the top left, okay? Dropping down, you get that extra rear lock button for that tri-zone climate control, so nobody's messing around with those temperatures. The wireless charging pad. And then the seating system, completely different with the wrap. Integrated partial cloth a little bit, but it's completely different wrapping on the seats, all right? This is the look on the EXL. Let's go ahead and show you second and third row and then finish off with this video. Now, guys, those differences I was telling you guys about over here, we got the sun visor that we pull up. We have that extra tweeter in the door panel. Then moving over to the tri-zone climate control. This is what it looks like. All right, turn that off. And then also the seating wrap system, same from the front over to the back. Now, a little bit of extra information. This is a 40-20-40, and you can drop this down armrest, but you could also remove this seat and actually make it, instead of an 8-seater, make it a 7-seater SUV and kind of give it a captain row chair feel to it, okay? If you need that aisleway. Now, let's go ahead and use this button back here. Bunny hop this seat forward. We're gonna pop these seats up. That's what it looks like, but remember I told you guys about the USB-C plugins? You're getting the USB-C plugins extra tech inside the EXL, okay? Now, guys, this is about a $6,000 difference. What do you guys think? Is it worth it? The bells and the whistles, or are you getting more for your money, or can you actually just keep the Sport at $41,750 and actually just drive with less bells and whistles? Leave in the comment section below. I know a lot of people do respond to these videos. Let us know how we're doing or any ideas that we can do better here at Vagabond Builds with James and Sandu. Thank you so much, and God bless you.